antlers, assumptions, and artillery. Dubstep. Of course it's dubstep. Bjorn notes as he hears the sound of the dance club before seeing the building itself. The dubstep is clearly being enjoyed as there's a clapping in tune with it, an odd dance style, but it is understandable. You mean slam music? You call it dubstep? Holly asks, and Bjorn nods. Why is it called slam music? Bjorn asks as they round the corner and he can see into the dance club, where the dancing style involves a massive shaking of the hips in time to the music, and a fair few of the girls are slamming their hips into one another with a solid clap. That explains a lot. Fear the thigh. Holly laughs out loud. With the fact that yours are made of sculpted steel, they better fear the thigh. Bjorn remarks, please don't maim your fellow dancers, I will protect you, but I'd rather it not be from a justifiably angry mob. Fair enough. All right, let's get going, Holly exclaims, leading the way with Bjorn following with his hands in his pockets. The sheer amount of people swaying and clapping themselves together is downright surreal when coupled with the strobing neon lights and loud music. Keeping track of things in there is going to be a nightmare. Luckily, he managed to talk Holly into wearing a couple of trackers, although the fact she clipped them to the string of her bikini top and thong was disconcerting, not only for how hard she was trying, but the fact that the tracking devices were literally hanging on by strings. There's a line to get in, and it takes all of a minute to reach the front. The bouncer is a brute arcana with a plasma cannon none too subtly carried on her back. The giant Spider-Woman raises an eyebrow at the sight of Holly before leaning out to the side and spotting Bjorn. You can go in, cutie, just try not to get eaten alive by the ladies. We're together, Holly says, and the bouncer lets out a harsh laugh. Yeah, sure you are. Let my bodyguard in, will ya? Bjorn protests, and the bouncer looks from Holly to Bjorn in shock. But you're my bodyguard, Holly says out loud, and Bjorn facepalms in frustration. Wait, you're the bodyguard? The bouncer says, pointing to Bjorn, who pulls a shotgun out of a hidden holster in the ridiculously baggy pants he's wearing. What kind of weapon is that? Chemically propelled kinetic. It's strong enough to ruin a Canador's day and put an Apuk on notice, Bjorn says before tucking it away. And if it doesn't work, the bouncer asks, then I get to have some real fun, Bjorn says with a huge growl in his voice as he says real and an absolutely psychotic smirk. And you're protecting her? The bouncer asks, pointing at Holly. Bjorn nods and she looks at the girl again, noting the massively defined muscles, the antlers filed to aggressive points, and the utter ease the woman stands at. Are you sure you're not protecting us from her? Her? She's an oversized child. Don't let the muscles, the old bloodstains, or the sharp points sticking out of her head fool you. She's harmless, Bjorn remarks before grinning. Compared to me, at least. Stop it. I'm here to dance and have fun, not to be thrown out before we even get in. Holly rebukes him, and Bjorn is about to answer when his communicator goes off. A moment, please, he says, taking a few steps away even as Holly starts to have a whispered argument with the bouncer. Sergeant Veers here. Sergeant Veers, this is Control Beta. You are assigned a new control confirmation code Tango Omega Delta Alpha Yankee. Code confirmed. What happened to Control Alpha? Control Alpha was playing matchmaker when she spoke to you last and is still in the middle of a dressing down and is under threat of court-martial. She jumped the gun enormously, Control says, and Bjorn nods. I understand. How much of what she told me was accurate? All of it. However, she should not have told you in a method that could be so easily overheard by the client. With her messing around like that, your mission just became a lot more complicated. We're assigning a second guard to be in the area as reinforcement. Confirmed. Where will this secondary safe house be located? We're still scouting the area. Do you have local intel? Control asks, and Bjorn considers. 2 floors down from the apartment myself and my VIP live-in is an empty apartment. It's not directly below, but it's very close and for rent, Bjorn says. Confirmed. What is your current location? The VIP wants to dance, so we're at a dance club higher on the same spire, 2 levels up. It is called the Slam Jam. I'm dressed as a civilian with low-profile armor on, and thanks to the absurd local style, I have a full arsenal with me and a combat shotgun, a broken-down assault rifle, hold-out pistol, knife, and 3 magazines of ammunition for each. Good. Watch your back, Sergeant. Not only is the VIP now gunning for you, but a dance club sounds like a good place to get kidnapped, Control says. Don't I know it? That clapping you're hearing? That's when they're thigh slamming each other. If I don't walk out with broken bones, I'm going to walk out a father from the looks of things. Bjorn remarks, Dear God, good luck. Before you hang up, what's the actual situation with fraternization? Effectively, Command acknowledges that it's going to be inevitable. Your duty is to keep things professional outside of controlled areas. In the safe house, you've got the go-ahead. She'll figure it out quickly enough on her own, but do keep operational security going. Remember, information is a weapon. Do not arm your opponents. Just to confirm, the rules about fraternization are in fact being loosened? Soldier, we are in a galaxy where 99 out of every 100 civilians would gladly sell their souls for a night with any of our men. The situation is absurd and needs an equally absurd answer. So long as your ability to perform your duties is not lessened by your conduct, then you are free to conduct yourself however you see fit while within a safe house. Understood? Understood, Bjorn says. Incidentally, how long has Control Alpha been in a dressing down for? 45 minutes and counting. The Admiral hasn't raised his voice or repeated himself once, Control says, and Bjorn lets out a low whistle. Yes, exactly. Anyways, keep it in your pants in public. Remember, she was forced to serve as the enforcer of a brutal gang for years. She could still be recognized as Knife Top. I remember my briefing. I have to at least try to de-escalate situations, as many people might simply be civilians with a legitimate grievance with the destroyed Knife Top persona. Good. Best of luck, soldier. We will contact you with further updates. Confirmed. Sergeant Veers out, Bjorn says as he deactivates the communicator and stores it. He then takes a few steps back to where Holly is now in a glaring competition with the bouncer. Is this seriously still happening? Well, yes. She won't let me, or now you, in. You've got a weapon after all, and hold this for me. Here's a bribe. Let's go. Bjorn says, shoving the shotgun with the ammo ejected into a pocket into the bouncer's hand, followed by a stock coin into another one before grabbing Holly by the hand and stomping into the dance club with only the shocked look of the flabbergasted bouncer following them in. Wait, what? How did you do that so easily? You just... Bouncers are more or less professional bullies. You don't deal with bullies by treating them like the boss. You have to treat them like an equal or a lesser and plow through. Now, you want your dance on? Get your dance on. I'll be at a nearby table observing the club. Wait, what? You're not going to dance? If I get in the middle of that ass-clapping nightmare, I'll get broken like a twig. I'll be in a secure position nearby. And if anything goes wrong, I'll be able to take a few dozen pot shots, make some cover, and easily get you to an exit. Bjorn clarifies. Oh no, we're dancing. I'm here for fun, and I'm here to have fun with you. Holly protests, grabbing him by the shoulder and causing him to suck a breath in as it aggravates what's under the gauze. It's an ace up his sleeve, but it's still tender. He goes with the oblivious Carib. Apparently, his pain wasn't audible over the blaring music. With me, Holly says before swaying in time to the music, and he steps to the side while trying to get a good lay of the room. She grabs him by both shoulders and guides him into swaying in time with her. He doesn't fight it, as that will draw more attention than he's already getting, and many of the dancers are double-taking at the sight of him and staring. A civilian with a grudge against Knife Top will be a bitch to deal with. A white knight of an alien looking to save him? He has no idea if the shame or the potential gang's worth of angry aliens would be the bigger problem. Soon enough, however, he's in the rhythm, sweeping from side to side with his oversized pants flapping around and clapping his hands in addition to all the rest of the clapping around, even as Holly starts shuffling around him, swaying in time to the music and making a circle around him, literally hip-checking women away from him as she basically marks her territory as the part of the dance floor he's on. A power move that many girls try to push in some strange dance of dominance, but Holly's got more horsepower in her hips than a big rig. They can't exactly keep their balance against that. Careful you don't kill someone, Holly. Bjorn chides as a massive Lopen is sent staggering and falls to all fours from a hip check. Just establishing who you're with, Holly says before her smile ratchets up as she hip checks another woman away. The fact that she can push everyone else around is clearly keeping her just a step or two away from giggling. Fair enough, but my job's easier if you don't make enemies, Bjorn says, clapping right as Holly knocks a Nagasha to the side and catches a look so dirty it's a surprise that Holly's fur doesn't go grungy. Then as Holly sways to the side, a swell of Axiom causes a massive clap as a woman matches her sheer power for a moment, and she stalls out. A twitch of the previously downed Nagasha's tail and she goes staggering. "Holly!" Bjorn begins to say, then someone grabs him right on the bandage and he lets out a grunt of pain before shooting a furious glare at the grabber. The Feely, whose claws were partially digging in, immediately lets go and backs off as she clearly reassesses what she thought she knew about the situation. "Think you're funny, you little shit? Coming in here and making a point to knock every girl away from him while he's in season. Some girls got a death wish." The Lopen from earlier snarls down at Holly as she brings up a laser pistol that immediately begins charging for a blast. "Think you're tough shit with steroids and sharpened horns? I'll..." The laser fires and a plume of light erupts as it dissolves against Bjorn's hand. "What the?" "Turn off the flashlight or eat it," Bjorn says up at her. His hand isn't even singed by the still firing laser beam trying to eat its way into his hand. He pulls on the weapon until it's facing him and him alone. "Let go of the laser." The Lopen just gawks at him in shock, so he decides to work intimidation a little harder while he has everyone's attention. Gun thoroughly aimed at his chin from below, he shifts his grip to start prying her large fingers off the weapon. The moment his hand moves, the laser beam leaps to try and kill him, but it simply dissipates on contact. He smiles and the leftover light that's pouring through his skin illuminates his teeth. That breaks the Lopen's nerve and she lets go of the weapon and staggers back in shock. Most of the club hasn't even noticed. Hell, most of the girls immediately around them aren't paying attention. He shifts his newly acquired laser pistol, sized for someone nearly twice his height, and aims it right at the Lopen. "I assure you, it was me, and not the laser that made that scene possible. Now, leave." "What?" the Lopen gasps. "Leave before I get upset with you," Bjorn says, and the gun powers up in his hand. She starts in terror, drops to all fours, and races away. Bjorn then turns his attention to the Nagasha, who is already weaving away through the crowds. A glance back to the Feely, and she has her paws up and backs away. He powers down the gun and sticks it into one of his spare belts. There's a little clip on it, so he uses that to at least stop it from clattering away. "Are you all right?" he asks Holly, who just stares at him. "Holly? Are you all right?" How did you do that?" Holly asks in shock, and he grins before tapping the bandages. "I do have low-profile armor on, but mostly to cut my pheromones. Here, however, is the lowest profile armor available off the Dauntless. Suffice to say, the only common methods of attack that are of any concern to me involve explosives and people getting close. Those are two things I have a lot of answers to. Really? You just grab a laser by the business end as it goes off and you don't react? I barely felt the heat, Bjorn replies. Excuse me, a voice asks, and Bjorn turns to look the Frey from earlier straight in the eyes. Can I have Brandy's laser back, please? She wasn't trying to do something bad, she was just a little overzealous. For a moment, Bjorn says nothing, then he unclips the weapon and holds it out to her grip first. Wait, you're just giving it back? Holly demands as the Frey takes the weapon and tucks it away in her skirt. Holly, be honest, you were looking for trouble. Don't be so upset when you find what you're looking for, Bjorn remarks as the Frey scampers away. Oh, for the love of... You really don't get it, do you? Holly asks, and Bjorn gives her a curious look. You really, really don't get it. Explain it to me. I'm staking you out as mine. Every girl I knock away is another girl that doesn't get you. I'm here for your protection, not your pissing contests, Bjorn hisses out. I'm going to get a table and a drink. I'll be nearby. Hey, wait. Holly begins as Bjorn walks away. She quickly follows. You're here to play, so play. I'm getting a drink, he says as he makes his way to an empty table. In moments, a drink is placed in front of him. Courtesy of an admirer, the waitress says, and Bjorn lifts up the drink to the lights and makes out the dissolving pills. He sets it down with an annoyed look to the suddenly ashamed waitress. I had no idea. I'm sure. Who was it that sent their compliments with roofies? Bjorn asks, and is pointed to a table of 4. He quickly brings out his communicator and snaps a picture before tucking it away. Send it back to them. Let them know that if they want to stage a kidnapping, that they'll need to up their game. Kidnapping? Holly asks as she just makes it into earshot. Having apparently lost her taste for dancing if she can't use it to power trip about how she's got a man with her and no one else does. The jokers over there think it's funny to put random pills in a drink, then send it over. If they want a piece of me, they'll have to put in the effort. Don't go down easy? Holly asks. Nope, Bjorn replies, and she breaks into giggles. Well then, I'll just have to up my game. If nothing else, this should be entertaining, Bjorn replies.